A little girl in a small town. That's how I felt growing up in a small town outside Buffalo, New York. To give you an idea of how small my town was, when you looked out any window in my house, you would see only fields. And my graduating class had 82 kids in it. But I knew there had to be more. I had seen it on TV. More than just English language, more than just white people, more than just my culture the way that I grew up. I went to college in another small town outside Buffalo, New York. And I studied international business, although I had never been outside the United States, and Canada doesn't really count. My last year of college, I got up enough nerve to decide that I wanted to study abroad. I wanted to have an international experience. So my last semester, I was accepted at the University of Rome, American University of Rome, in Rome, Italy. And this was such big news in my small town that it made the paper. A lot of people couldn't even understand from my town why I want to do something like this, when I lived in the best country in the world, that's what they would say. But a lot of people did understand. But upon my arrival, I felt totally vindicated. The naysayers were wrong. It was wonderful. It was exactly what I was looking for. The people, the food, the language, the culture, everything was different, and it was outside the United States, and it was wonderful. And Rome was an experience like no other. I mean, you could throw a coin in the Fountain of Trevi and turn around and buy a fabulous pair of shoes. I had never had an experience like that, and of course after this experience I wanted another one. I wanted more. So after a year waiting period, I applied for, after college, and was accepted into the Peace Corps. This was good because after my stint in Italy, I was up to here in student loans. I was looking for another international experience, but I had no one or nothing to help me pay for it. Well, that was solved with Peace Corps, and I was assigned to El Salvador for 2 years.
Wow.
The first 3 months we trained in Guatemala, and they trained us in Spanish language and some business techniques. But 3 months of learning a language is not enough. It is very hard to learn another language. I applaud all of you who have. It is very difficult. And I found that out firsthand. So when I finally got done with training in Guatemala and went to El Salvador, I lived with a family for 2 years, the same family, a wonderful family. And I helped women who had small businesses in the market, like selling tomatoes and things like that, giving them marketing advice. It was very difficult. I wasn't really quite sure how to advise them, difficult businesses. And I also was sort of a mentor to at-risk youth. But anything I could have given to these people, I got back tenfold. I left El Salvador and Peace Corps a better and changed person. I saw firsthand how war can affect the country, how U.S. involvement can be welcomed and despised at the same time, and how no matter what color you are, what country you come from, what language you speak, everyone deserves to have respect and understanding and their basic needs met. That's how I came away from my time in El Salvador, a better person and a changed person. So anything I could have given in the way of advice or anything to anybody didn't match what I received in return. On my way back home, I did return to my small town, and after a while, my mother set me up on a blind date with a man who would eventually become my husband. And it's an international marriage, although he's just Canadian, it's not that exotic. We now have 2 boys, age 7 and 4, and being a stay-at-home mom is the toughest job I've ever done. The most rewarding, the toughest thing I've ever done. Coming from being a little girl in a small town to an adult living in an international community like Weston, I think I've done okay for myself.